Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today, she just gave me her pronunciation. Please say it, love. I don't want to dishonor your name.
It is Ruqya Khan.
Ruqya Khan. There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful name, but don't want to do disservice to it. And she says that we've got to smile to move forward. And I could not disagree with that at all. Smiling is something that projects forward. It helps other people to find a smile. It diffuses situations. It lifts people's spirits up. And she has a 5-step formula. She says, my 5-step formula is my smile. It is my legacy, and I like to run through it and share the anecdotes of how in recent stages of life it helped her find her way forward. And she is currently an honored change maker, leading from chaos to clarity. She sees herself more of a SMILE acronym strategist more than a motivational speaker or life coach. She is a wordsmith. She works with words, delivering stories in print and on stage. And she is the founder of Smileistic Coaching. I love that name. That is wonderful. And she did a TED Talks on the art of possibilities. I actually have another company called the Art of Positive Living. And it is an art, isn't it? You know,
Yes, it is.
It's an art to be positive. It's an art to smile no matter what the situation is. It's a conscious choice, isn't it, love?
Yes, it is. To be able to smile is a blessing in itself.
Yeah. And there aren't always things to smile at, right? You know, we have situations in life, and, you know, North America is going through that right now. And it's sometimes you just have to shake your head, and it's like there is no smile here. There is warrant for anger, or for hurt or for pain. But somewhere along the line, you have to find that smile, because that's what ignites the heart, that's what ignites the spirit and the soul to find that joy again, to find that love again, that peace again, because we cannot stay in a state of despair or anger. And so whether we sometimes have to force it until everybody else smiles along with us, or we ignite it, that smile is something that really is the game changer, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what I say is, when you smile, you literally short circuit your mind, because your brain thinks, hey, hold on here. Everything seems to be chaotic, but she's smiling. So there must be something good to look for in the situation. And then it begins to unconsciously, seek the good or the possibilities in the situation. So, yeah.
And, no matter what we're facing, and sometimes it's the horrors. Of course, America's going through that right now. And of course, COVID around the world, and everybody's got their own personal struggles and challenges right now. But out of whatever you perceive as bad in front of you, there is always a seed of good. And if we can find that and nurture that, that definitely will give us something to smile about.
Absolutely. So it's like, what are you focusing on during these uncertain times? The metaphor that I like to use is that of us being in a train, in this huge train that is going through a tunnel in a mountain. So I don't know if you've traveled by train, but when you are traveling through a tunnel, what happens is it becomes very dark.
Mm-hmm.
It begins to feel scary. It begins to feel the voice, everything around you starts to boom and echo. And then you're just going through that, and all you can hear is the wheels turning, and it's a little daunting. But then in that time, if you just choose to stay still and go within and not create chaos, and just reflect on what's going on the inside, and just use that time to the best way possible. You will come out of the tunnel eventually. You don't know when, because it's
Mm.
only the one who's driving the train who knows. And in God, source, whatever you may call him, but whenever he chooses to send you out of the tunnel, my question is, who are you going to be then? Who would you
Mm.
like to be when you're on the other side of this?
And what an opportunity the tunnel is in that dark, in that sometimes that silence, to have a perspective. Why are we afraid of suddenly the dark? Because we cannot see our way forward. But sometimes our eyes deceive us. And
Mm,
sometimes being in the dark shows us a reflection from the inside out of what we are meant to see. So when we're back in the light, we see things with more clarity.
true. And what also matters when you're in the dark is, who are you surrounding yourself with?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, are you surrounding yourself with people who support you in that phase of feeling a little overwhelmed? Or are you surrounded by people who are panicking and moving around and kind of creating chaos for the others? Or who are your tribe? Who are the people that you're, what's the content that you're consuming? People like you and I are contributing by making the best of this time,
Mm-hmm.
bringing positive conversations to the world. So yeah, what are you consuming in this reflective time?
And, maybe it's also that time that this is the time for you to be there for someone else. I mean, let us not be fooled. We all come across that fearful darkness sometimes. And sometimes we may not know our way forward in that moment. But when we see somebody else in that chaos or panicking to it, and we step up for them, that also gives us the sense of peace or clarity for ourselves, isn't it? So sometimes it's the gift of going inside yourself. Sometimes it's stepping out and being there for someone else.
True. So it's interesting that we're talking about silence, because the first alphabet within my SMILE strategy is silence the mind.
Mm. You say it with a smile because not everybody has that gift of doing that.
Yeah. And it is the very first and most difficult step for a
Yeah.
lot of us, because there's so much of chatter going on in our
Mm.
mind. And for those of you saying, what chatter? Yeah, that's the chatter,
Yes.
you know? Yeah.
And what kind of chatter is it? Is it external, expectation, dictation, somebody else's fear, the hysteria of the chaos? Or what, or is it some wisdom that is coming to you because you've opened that space for it?
True. Um, when we talk of dark spaces, and I know you're referencing to COVID, but I think the most difficult and dark space that I went through was when my father passed in October 2017, and that was also the time when my children left the nest for university.
Mm.
So I had to deal with the passing of somebody who was my harbor, my pillar of strength, and also my children, who were like the reason I do what I do. And then they also left for university. So it was really tough on me. So, but sometimes I think in these moments of darkness, you need to also be patient with yourself. There is no rush to
Yeah.
heal, or there is no rush to be normal again. You know,
But
take your
what's
time.
normal? I mean, your normal was children that were there, a father that you could go to. Your father has moved on, ascended, and your children have spread their wings. So you can't go back to a normal because there isn't a normal. So what's a new norm? And how do you now take the wonderful gift of love you had from your father and also the wonderment of where your children are going to go and apply it to yourself?
Absolutely. And up until almost April, until March, I didn't do much
Mm-hmm.
with with the skill set of a coach, of a speaker, of a writer. I just chose silence from a dark space. But when I was called in March to speak at the Happiness Carnival, Dubai actually has a happiness ministry of happiness, in case you didn't know, and they held a happiness carnival, and I was invited by the Prime Minister's office to speak, to share my smile.
Mm.
And I realized that, and when you get called from an authority like that, you don't say, I'm sorry, I don't feel like it. You show up.
Yes. Don't look the gift horse in the mouth, right?
He said, yes, please, I will be there. And so I was. And as I spoke to lots of people and started sharing the SMILE strategy, started seeing their faces light up, I felt, hey, this is something amazing that I've been given and gifted. And to sit on it and not do anything about it would be selfish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's where everything started.
And again, because you have no idea where that ignition is going to come from, where that
Yeah.
light bulb is going to come from. And I think one of the big problems in life is people forget to participate in their own life, and just to go on their own treasure hunt. It's not sit there and kind of wait for life to come to you. It's go and take that beautiful walk in life and see what opportunities are given to you along the way. Had you not gone, you wouldn't have had that light bulb moment, and you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now.
Yes, yes. And the month later, I was visiting my children in Perth. The two of them were together on the Easter break. And I called them up and I said, hey guys, I know you're together. Do you think it will be okay if I drop by? And they said, yes, Mom, why not?
Yeah.
So I showed up and on a bus ride, we were on a 1 hour long bus ride and my son was with me. And I said, you go to sleep. I'll wake you up after an hour. And he goes, oh no, we don't do that. You tell me, what have you been up to? So I looked at him in all authority, if I may say. I said, hey, I'm your mom. You're not supposed to talk to me like that. He says, all that is fine, but what have you been up to? Because you speak about accountability to us and to everybody else. So what are you doing? And so I made a list that struck. So I went back home and I made a list of all the quotes that I had on my Facebook page, my own quotes, and I realized I had 550 of them. I'm a bit of a chatterbox. Was the first realization.
Got something to share, that's why.
Yeah. So I made that list and I came home and I ran a poll on my page, my Facebook page, and I said, guys, would you like me to do videos? Because I thought if I needed to do video, at least I'll step out of bed and wash my face so that I can face the world. I was struggling. I was struggling with an empty house after coming back from Australia. So I said, So that's how the daily videos started on May 1st, 2018, and they're ongoing even up until now.
I love people's redirect, and the willing for self-discovery, as a mother that was, the custodian and there to, prepare her chicks to fly from the nest. And, nobody else there kind of accountable for you to be accountable for. It's that time where we can place time upon ourselves and, exploration. And we are all here for a purpose. And there's many chapters in our book of life. Right? We're not just one story. And so many people kind of rest on laurels or get lost on that identity instead of exploring a new one. And yeah, our children can call us out, mine do a lot. And it's a good reminder because sometimes we get caught up in the routine of what we were and we forget, yes, we're a mother, but we're also a woman. And maybe a wife, and maybe, maybe an entrepreneur, or maybe a motivator. Who are we as an individual, not just what we do to other or for other people.
True. And I think everybody is like a prism, where all the mirrors in different angles, and then they're reflecting one upon the other. So while it might look like it's one image, it's one image that you're conveying, but it's one image reflecting in different dimensions and coming together as one. So yeah, I mean, so many dimensions to one person.
And it's important to be around other people, isn't it? I mean, you just smiling all day just for yourself, it's nice, it's cheering you up, it's good for you, but that smile being picked up by someone else, being infectious, is really where it's at. And when I go for walks, I smile at people and go back. Sometimes it's good morning, good afternoon, nice weather, whatever. It depends on the person, but I always smile. Sometimes people are just too busy or on their
Yeah.
phones, you know, and other time people smile back. And it's just that acknowledgement of each other.
Yeah, I agree. So I recently did a social experiment where, we're nowadays wearing the mask,
Yes,
right?
I
When you
know.
have to go outside.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing that you can't see the other person smiling and you can't show your own as well. So on one of the days when I was out shopping, I smiled really big, the kind of smile where your eyes go cringy and
Mm.
you're like, and
Smizing.
yes, yes. As I did that, and I walked past people who I felt would appreciate one or would need a smile today, and it's interesting how people catch it, So it
Mm.
doesn't have to just be a smile that you can see on the face, on the lips, but just the eyes. Sometimes eye contact with that person, and you smile, and that kind of cheers them up, or they pick it up so fast.
Yeah. It's kind of, you know, instead of the smile, it's the smiling with the eyes and even a nod, right? That little nod. This is
Yeah,
directed at you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're very fortunate here on the island where I live that, you know, we've had no new cases for 2 weeks, and we're slowly going back, integrating. And, you know, basically the time I wear a mask is if I'm in a grocery store or somewhere condensed. Otherwise, we can enjoy the fresh air and smile at each other as we go by. But there are places, you know, that are still in the midst of it, and due to what's happening even now, we can see that second phase coming to them. And you will probably get a lot of people saying right now, but what's there to smile about? You
Hmm.
know, I don't have a job because of this, or, you know, I'm scared of getting sick, or, you know, depending where somebody is in the world, you know, rioting, or fear of war and everything else. And for some people, it's like there's nothing to smile about. There is always something to smile about. There is
Absolutely.
always, even amongst that chaos, amongst that turmoil, there is always somebody that will warm your heart by the actions that they do, that will bring a smile to your face. Got to be
I
willing
do
to
agree.
look for it though, haven't you?
Yes, it's just about, and it's beautiful how you segued into M, which is manage your attention.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
So silence your mind, manage your attention.
Yes.
Where are you focusing?
Right.
So, so are you focusing on, as you said, I don't have a job? Are you focusing on the fear, or are you focusing on the fact that you are with family, or at least you're healthy at the moment as we speak? So would you like to count your blessings and have a gratitude list for everything? You've got electricity, you've got food on your plate, you can breathe
Mm-hmm.
without having to use a ventilator. I mean, there are people who are falling sick, and the kind of stories we've heard about how it affects a person are scary. It's not pleasant, but you're better off. Uh, you need to be grateful. Even your immune system, in fact, reacts the same way. So when you get into that place of panic where your cortisol level goes up,
Yes.
all your happy hormones, endorphins, tend to go down, and your
Yeah.
immunity slacks. So isn't it worth it to count your blessings?
100%. I mean, we know that cancer is an 80% emotional disease, and that other 20% may be hereditary or environmental. Um, when we look at diseases, let's break it up. Dis-ease.
Yes.
When we're not at ease with ourselves and with life, it will trigger disease. And most of people's illnesses is coming from anxiety, coming from stress, coming from worry. And some people, they're just prone to it. Well, that means they need to manage it by being aware of it and what triggers it so much more consciously, don't they?
True. And they have to be more aware and in tune with
Mm,
what they're thinking, what are the thoughts. So in a day, a person has close to, uh, I think it's 80 to 90,000 thoughts in a day.
mm-hmm.
And the interesting part is that 70% of these thoughts are repetitive. So until you make that conscious
Yes.
effort to sit with yourself and realize, okay, so what is it that I'm thinking? And how would I like to think instead? And make that conscious effort to break that cycle and then think something new. So it would be definitely something to consider.
You know, I don't think what people realize is that it's energy. And if, you know, I have a wonderful woman I interviewed who was sexually harassed at her work and then fired by her boss. And it's been 6 years that she's been trying to bring him to justice, and everybody's trying to put it under the rug. And even, you know, the court people are just dragging their feet on it because they're buddies. You know, it's that same old, same old.
Yeah.
And she's being angry. And I said, no, you have to change that. You have every justification to be angry, but be angry at the bridge, screaming at the traffic as it goes. You can't bring that anger to the court or anywhere around that energy. You have to bring the energy that will be, she will rule in your favor, because people don't realize anger begets anger,
True.
right? And so does love beget love. So water and feed what you want to grow.
True. It's like Dr. Emoto's experiment with water, where he said,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I did a wonderful show with his assistant, and another one with Robin Williams on water. I highly recommend people listen to that. It's magnificent. But yes, please tell people about the water one.
so our body is made of what? Water, right? There's blood flowing, there's
Yes.
fluid, your muscles, our tissues have water in it. And what are the thoughts that you're constantly feeding yourself? What are you saying to yourself that it's possible, it's not possible, I'm good enough, I'm not good enough? Yeah. And then that's how your body is going to obviously respond and say, yes, master, what you say is absolutely right.
Yeah, yes. And that, you know, that water experiment, we had 3 different rooms with 3 different waters. One they ignored, one they gave good affirmations to, one negative. The negative one literally turned dark, and the other one crystallized into, you know, a frequency of basically of love, on the same level of love. And if we are, I think it's 80% water, and
Yes,
we're
we are
being
80% water.
negative to ourselves all the time, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, what's our color of our water? You know, that can be scary, and go, I'm changing this color, I don't like black.
And the water that was ignored was the one that was worst affected.
Yeah.
So imagine most of us go through life so mechanically that we're ignoring our feelings, we're ignoring what's coming up for us, and we're kind of pushing it aside, saying, I'll address you some other day. And then when you're constantly pushing it away, it's like stacking up things in a cupboard and closing the door tight. Once you get out,
And then the door comes right out.
comes out at you as an illness, as
Yes.
anything, just
You can't
demands your
avoid it.
attention.
You
Then.
can't avoid it. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. You can't ignore it. You know, I mean, it has to be faced, doesn't it? I mean, our emotions are there as an indication as to how we feel about our environment, how we feel about ourselves. So pay attention to your emotions. Just don't become emotional about them. Recognize, what are they trying to tell you, and what do you need to do to, you know, smile forward.
Absolutely. So it's like watching the clouds in the sky when people say that when you meditate, you're supposed to have a clear mind. But I beg to differ. I say, yes, you cannot have a clear mind, because the purpose of your mind is to think all the time. It's like saying, okay, I'm meditating now, so my kidneys will not function because I'm meditating. That's not how it works. Your mind will keep thinking.
I haven't heard that one before. It's a good one.
Thank you. Your
Ah,
mind will keep thinking and thoughts will keep coming. And the trick is to not get attached to those clouds, to those thoughts. Watch them float by as if they were clouds,
yeah.
not trying to make sense out of them. Just acknowledge that they're there and then let them pass.
Yes, exactly. Fluidity. I mean, water,
Yeah.
blood, oxygen constantly needs to be in flow. So do we. The moment we get stagnant and get caught up in fear or hate or discord, that is when the chi, the energy, is blocked. And
Yeah.
that's when we start having problems. And there are some people who just really thrive on being angry. And unfortunately, that's their choice. And until they choose not to be angry anymore, there's not much you can do. And this is why it's really important, the people you have around you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So people that you have around you, and the other day I was speaking to Elaine, and she was talking about how being angry with someone is kind of like hugging a cactus.
Yes, I know. That was so beautiful statement. Yes, yeah, we addressed that again on our show. And I thought, you just think about that, just even touching a cactus and how heart painful it is. And you actually can see the image of hugging it. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, we're inflicting the pain upon ourselves,
yeah,
right?
because the cactus is going to be a cactus
Yes,
regardless, but
yes,
it's you who's choosing to hug it.
right. Yes, and that's Elaine Jacques, by the way. We've had her on a couple of times too. She's a wonderful woman and
She's amazing. I
a
love her.
fabulous promoter. And just talk about a smile. She is the smile, isn't she?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, she
yeah,
is.
the epitome of it. And that's kind of the people you want to be around. They're not living in la la land. They know that there's trouble and strife out there, but they have chosen to be the smile and to
True.
ignite that smile and share it along with other people. And I mean, we can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we react to it.
Yes. And also acknowledge and appreciate our intention behind why we're doing
Mm,
what we're doing,
yeah,
which is identify the intention.
yes,
So silence the mind, manage your attention, identify the intention. So as Simon Sinek says it in The Power of Why, what is your why? Because unless you know what is the fuel that's driving you, you
yes.
really aren't going to get very far.
That why is your vehicle.
Mm.
Right? It is, why are you doing what you're doing? Because it ignites passion and conviction and purpose. And when you've got those words in the why, then you know somebody's really coming from the heart, right? And it is the vehicle for us in order to move forward. But so many people are still living by expectation
Mm-hmm.
and not their own why. So that self-discovery we need to have is, what is our why? A lot of people don't know how to look for that. And a lot of that is the intention of looking for it, managing your emotions and obviously silencing the expectation chatter and listen to the inner voice. Let it
Yeah.
have a say.
True. So, and a lot of times it's not even our own expectations, it's expectations of others.
Oh,
It's
completely. Yeah.
expectations of family, of society, of anybody else who might have a say in your world. And you don't even know what you want on most occasions. So, growing up, I was meant to be a doctor. My mom wanted me to be a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like that. I had my blinders on. I didn't know anything else. Though I knew I loved reading, I knew I had a strength in language, but I never thought of being a journalist.
Mm.
I got married pretty early in life, and my children came along. And one day, by standing in front of a sink full of dishes, I thought to myself, there must be more to life than diapers and dishes.
Yep. Yeah.
And when I asked, the universe said, okay, we'll look it up for you. And it did.
Well, what do they say is, when the student is ready, the teacher will come,
Yep,
right? And
yep.
and you are asking the question, I'm the student, what more is there?
What more is there? There must be more to life than diapers and dishes. And
Mm-hmm.
I found out about a ladies' writing group and started contributing articles to the local newspaper. And coincidentally, this happened on my fifth anniversary that I've had my first byline, and there's been no looking back since. So 20 years of working with words, just writing it, speaking with people, to know about their stories, and then stumbling upon personal development and NLP, which is neuro linguistic
Yeah.
programming, and then building myself over there. So yeah, it's just about understanding. For me, I think the biggest intention in getting outside of my homemaker role
Yeah.
um, was the fact that the children were watching.
Mm. Yes, we lead by example, right?
Yeah.
And this is what people don't understand. I'm a mum of three; they're all grown up in their 30s now. But I was living for them, and it was my kids that reminded me. But mum, you don't need to live for us anymore. There's got to be something you want to do. And at that time, it was like, I don't know. you and it was a complete, it's been the last 15-year or more journey for me to find my path and my calling. And we're never too old to find it, right? Never too old to start. And it's not being what other people want you to be, but discovering how wonderful you really are and who you really are inside, and being comfortable with that and sharing that. And that does require some self-exploration.
Yeah. So 2011, when I went on my first course of NLP, there was a gentleman in the class and he was the oldest. He was 60 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And when each one of us introduced ourselves and shared, and he stood up and he said, I have recently retired and all my life I've been working. And when I came home after retiring, I realized I don't know myself. My family doesn't know me, and that was like this moment of silence and realization for all of us. Oh, wow. So he took that first step to get to know himself
Yeah.
first and then to connect back with his family. So for me, that will always stay, it's important.
Yes. And again, I've interviewed a lot of people who have been CEOs or own their own companies, and or been ahead of their game. And at some point, they have a look at their life and go, I'm working 18 hours a day. I've got the fancy car and the fancy house, but I've got no time to enjoy them. I've got no time to enjoy my children, my spouse, or my life. I am just working for this supposed image. And it's, either being the cosmic 2x4 or something that's forced them to redirect and go and live a more enriched, abundant life that they love getting up for and that they don't consider as work.
True. So the reason I did a TEDx talk was because when I was, if I found it very amusing that everybody would complain about their situation. They'd complain about in-laws, they'd complain about community, they'd complain about everything under the sun except take ownership.
Yes.
So I said, what are you doing here? There's an art of possibility. And I had the opportunity to speak to students. Students were my audience. I presented at a school. So high schoolers, they need to get this message that it's not about pushing the blame on somebody else, but about taking accountability, having that ownership for your life and the chances you take, good or bad.
We say, while you're pointing a finger, there's three pointing back at you,
Yeah.
right? And so, again, ownership, of our choices, responsibility for our actions. And that I interviewed a young girl, and she was 10, and she'd already written a book called 365 Days of a Positive Attitude or Gratitude, right? And it was just simple. Today I did this, I'm very grateful I did that. But it was such a reminder. We get so bogged down by the expectations of what we should be and everything else. We're not given the permission to be the light that we are. And we forget to find gratitude and joy in the simplest of things. So, out of the mouths of babes, children, I think at the present moment are awesome teachers. And, maybe just spending some time around kids and animals and just letting your silly billy out. We've forgotten how to do that. And I think that's really important that we look in, because we're not going to find it on the outside. It's on the inside, isn't it?
On the inside. I don't hold my meetings at coffee shops.
Sorry?
I don't hold my meetings when I have a client meeting,
Right.
or when I don't hold them at coffee shops. On most days, I'd invite you to an ice cream parlor.
Yay!
Yeah.
Chocolate ice cream, yes.
Imagine.
The smile's already there.
Exactly.
That's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. Yes. Why shouldn't you have something that brings you joy and brings a smile to your face? You're already starting the meeting with a smile. And it can only go up from there. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm going to have to look at the ice cream shop in my neighborhood now and see if we can do that. Simple joy. Simple joy. That ice cream brings the kid out in us. It's, like that guilty pleasure. And we just feel so good after, we've had it. And so that feeling now opens up the creativity, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it lets your guards down. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just so in a nice place, in a happy place, that you're open to listening, you're open to conversation, you're open to letting your inner child out.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I was watching a movie the other day, and in it, the woman went to go and get an ice cream called a 99, and I was brought up with this is Applebee's ice cream with a chocolate flake in it. And as a child, I loved a 99, and the moment I saw us, in the movie holding it, it was just I flashed right back to her childhood. I'm like, I want one of those. Words. My mother, my brother, and I suppose me in some ways, words, they're a dance, they're a song, they're poetry, they're direction, they're information. And the words we say to ourselves are the most important words. Because again, if we're speaking negatively about ourselves, Blackwater, we're not going to get anywhere. But that verbiage we speak of ourselves and to ourselves is really laying the ground to how other people are going to receive you.
True. I say words are a resource.
Mm-hmm.
And just like where everybody's talking about and saving the environment, going green and taking care of our resources. So why aren't we conserving the words we use?
Yes.
Why aren't we listening more and
Mm-hmm.
speaking less? Because everybody's out there to make a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to listen?
Yeah.
So don't throw your words around as if they have no value. Respect your words, have value for them. So, yeah.
And let them come from the heart, not the head. Now, I'm
Mm.
always saying to people, feel your knowledge,
Mm.
right?
I like
When
that.
you think your knowledge, it's all the conditioning and the programming and everything that's in there. But when you feel your knowledge, when your soul is ignited and your heart knows the truth and your spirit goes into action, your mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to needs to know it. And that opens up then the verbiage, the words, and the action that you need at that time. And words can be so eloquent
Mm.
and so clarifying, but they can also be so destroying. The wrong word in the wrong tone can
Oh, yes,
change the tide completely.
absolutely. So I say you need to tango with your thoughts instead of getting tangled
Yeah.
in it.
Yes, definitely. And for some people who may have left feet, they'll be tangled in their tango until they get it right.
Will they get it right? For most of us, that's what we're doing. But
Yes,
eventually you get there.
yes, exactly.
Eventually you get
Persistence, persistence. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't
And
give up on the first try of anything, right? It may not go the way you thought it was going to go. That's fine. It's going the way it needs to go. And don't, well, I tried that and I'm not going to do it again. No, you keep persisting. We wouldn't have a light bulb if Einstein had given up at
exactly.
9999. It was that thousandth one. So we have to keep persisting.
Edison, yes, absolutely. So L stands for let things go. So silence, silence the mind, manage your attention, identify the intention, and let things go. I've presented this in so many countries, and it's L which
Yes.
actually has the most eyes rolling because people say,
Yeah.
no, but it's not my fault, it's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So I take them all the way back to silence your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Start over because if you're not willing to let go, you are not going to move to the next alphabet. You need to first learn to let go.
Yeah.
And when I speak of letting go, I'm not just talking about forgiveness. I'm also about talking about letting go of labels that we've
Mm-hmm.
taken upon ourselves. Labels of fear, labels of failure, labels of uh, any kind of experience that might have been not so good. So it's about time you let it go and then move fresh.
I mean, it's a label of your gender. It's a label of your race. We are in 2020. We're meant to be an intelligent species. Yet we are still judging people by the color of their skin, the color of their eyes, the religion, their sexual gender, their orientation, or their bank account, or how important they are. And we seem to love sticking a label on someone, and we are doing them and ourselves such an injustice. Yes, you are a woman, right? And so you own being a woman. You own, I'm a white woman, who cares? I think the color of who you are, the religion of who you are, the sexual orientation, or everything of who you are is you. It's what makes you up. And you may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you'll be somebody's cup of coffee, right? And you just go and be yourself, and you'll find your tribe. But be yourself and stop following this label like a filing cabinet. You know, it's just that I think is the hardest thing to let go for people, because they think they're losing their identity. They're not, they're claiming it.
Yeah. And also labels of I'm not good enough.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
a failure.
Yes.
You're not a failure. You had a failure. So separate
Yes.
yourself from the experience. That's important.
Yes. We're not enough. In whose eyes?
Exactly.
Why are you looking at yourself through other people? Look at yourself in your own mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that you are honoring yourself enough, that you are managing and listening to the silence and, you know, igniting that way forward? You know, are you making an effort? Are you letting go of any of that stigma, you know, that pain? And if we're saying no to any of it, then get to work.
And if you're saying no to any of it, also forgive yourself.
Mm.
Let it go.
Yes.
Because when it comes to forgiveness, most of us think that, oh, you have to forgive the other person because they did wrong. They did you wrong. Everybody thinks it's the other person's place to be forgiven. You know,
Yeah.
I am the better person. I will forgive you. But before you forgive them, you need to forgive yourself for holding on to that.
Right. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
never diminishes the wrong that's been done, right? Never and it's never permission or exemption for wrong that's been done. It just means that you're letting go of that energy and moving on. Because if you keep on with that energy, you are victimizing yourself.
True. And you're not. You would you like to live as a victim,
Mm.
or would you just be a victor over your feelings and own your space?
Yeah. Own your space. Be who you are unapologetically. Be beautifully imperfect, because that's what makes you so unique.
The Japanese art of Kinjutsu, uh, where the pottery, when it falls, when there are flaws in it, when there are cracks
Yes,
in
yes.
pottery, they seal it with gold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the scars are actually like a badge of honor. So I say your scars can be a badge of honor, where you're celebrating the flaws. You're accepting yourself fully as you are. So isn't that such a beautiful thing to do?
I mean, this is, you know, 99% of the people that are here in self-discovery media. They're people that have been willing to take their journey, to go through the process, to find their courage, find their strength, learn those abilities that are going to turn things around, and to invest in themselves and honor themselves and set free the instrument that they are, so they may find their orchestra. And all those that have gone through that, they are the gems at the end of it that shine bright, that are there for us, you know, to adore in many ways. It's not a process that you can skip or get someone else to do it for you. That happiness, that smile that comes from within is on the other side, and you've got to be willing to go through the process.
Going over the process,
Mm.
leading me so beautifully and flawlessly into E, which is energize the possibilities.
Yes,
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 which is
yes.
putting energy into it. You know, we go to events, we listen to lectures, podcasts, books, everything under the sun. We educate ourselves.
Yeah.
And then what do? A lot of shelf development instead of self development. We have notes which we just stack away into the bookshelves
Mm.
and they gather dust. If you were to instead put your learnings into action, put energy into your learnings, that's when the possibilities unfold.
Yeah, I created a new word I liked called actionism.
Ooh, I like.
You know, it's action in motion. You know, activism is speaking out against something. Actionism is doing something about it. So I would love people to step into their actionism because,
Mm,
again, going back to the head knowledge, the thoughts. Well, I know all of this. Yeah, well, you know it from here up, chin up. But have you ignited your heart, soul, and spirit into the equation and opened up that intellect so you've got a whole picture so you know how to move forward and let go and everything else? That requires participation, which is action.
exactly. Exactly. It's important to participate in your life. A lot of us are actually just going through life, sitting on the fence and watching the game go by. So,
Yes. It was a very nice parade, but you weren't in it. You know, why weren't you in it? Are you a sideliner in your life? You know, I mean, some people are content to be that. They're content just to sit on the sidelines and let life pass them by.
mm,
Um, I'm not one of those. You know, it's always about searching. Where else can you go? You know, what's down this road? You know, meeting and greeting people you never know what's going to come out. I love possibilities.
and I love that you call it self discovery media because
Hmm.
it's all about discovering yourself. It's also about talking to people and getting to know them. And as a journalist, when I would speak to somebody and interview them, so much of their story would impress upon me. You
Yes.
know, it would inspire me. It would
Oh, yeah.
shape the way I'm thinking subconsciously.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful what you're doing.
I call it inspiration begets invitation.
Yes.
Because when you're inspired by someone, it invites you to step up and start doing something yourself. If you're not motivated by somebody else's story, somebody else's skill, somebody else's tool, to apply it to yourself, then you're not ready. And,
Mm,
you know, basically, with the 2,500 shows we have on here, I call it the Orchard of Wisdom, ready for clicking. And when you're ready, you'll come and listen to the show that you need to hear that will help propel you forward. And all we can do is be that light for people, be that knowledge for people. But we can't ram it down their throats. It has to be when they're ready to take that journey, to smile.
yes, why not? And I've been walking in your orchard since we connected, and I love the interviews. So I was the other day listening to 365 Connections with the
Yes,
Primes,
yes,
another amazing bunch of people. So it's like I mean, the people that you've picked are definitely like these beautiful flowers, each unique. And I love that you call it an orchard.
yes. Yeah, you know, when you look at an orchard, you know, and mine has got a lot of fruit trees in it. You know, you go and pick the orange, you know, pick the papaya, pick whatever else is growing, because that's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You want everybody to step into that smile, to place value upon themselves, to be that light of who they are and shine bright for others, be an inspiration for someone else because they were willing to go through that path and not get stuck.
Yep. And to be ready for whenever
Mm.
this train is on the other side and
Mm.
decide for yourself who are you going to be. Are you going to be grumpy, upset, and bitter about life and the fact that it was so dark? Or are you just going to be excited like a little child and wait for the light to be on the other, to open up to you and be
Yeah.
prepared to face the new times? Because
I
things are
mean,
definitely changing.
attitude. I mean, that's what we're talking about, your attitude towards life. You know, Does it owe you? Oh, you know, there's a wonderful book called Who Moved My Cheese, which I often talk
Oh, yes,
about in it.
I've read that.
That's a wonderful book, isn't it? Two mice, two
Yeah.
men around abundance of cheese, and one day the cheese is there, and it's the 4 different reactions around it. And the one, give me back my cheese, who do I sue? And there are people who cannot deal with change. But what we have to understand, seasons changed constantly, all the time. We are designed to change and go with the flow and explore other possibilities. We're not meant to be stagnant. We're not meant to be set in our ways. We're not meant to be complacent, right?
We're
Because
ever
life is always,
evolving.
yeah, forever evolving. And for people who are in the angry or in the fear, are those that are unwilling to
Hmm.
make the changes. And again, that is their choice, that is their journey, but it's not one that's going to benefit them in the long run.
Because I guess what you resist also persists. So the more you resist it, the more
Yeah.
it's going to keep coming at you.
Yes. Yes, I like the Borg thing from Star Trek. Resistance is futile. And in a way it is, because something will always come along to redirect you. Sometimes it's a nudge, sometimes it's awareness, sometimes it's a cosmic two by four, and we are meant to follow a certain path in this life. We've been given a particular gift, and our duty is to discover what that gift is so we know how to share it. And so if we're going down the wrong path, the universe will always come along, gusts will always come along and redirect us onto the right path. And if we resist, then we're going to get the cosmic 2x4. Resistance is
So,
futile. Mm.
oh, yes, it is. And as you said, we're given a gift. And I think what I was given as a gift was the SMILE strategy.
Yeah. Yes.
So took it upon myself to present my message. I wasn't an orator, I wasn't a Toastmaster. Stood on the stage, fumbled because that was my first ever structured speech on a stage. And not many people choose a TEDx stage to deliver a first speech.
The first one? No,
First one.
definitely not.
But
That's
I
called
had
jumping into the
to.
deep end, and I
That's me.
respect that. Yeah.
So I did that. And then as I was given that opportunity to share during the Happiness Carnival, and I was in a dark space, but when I shared light with others, I
Mm,
realized my own darkness was beginning to dim. I
yeah.
was beginning to live on purpose instead of on purpose.
It's getting comfortable with the darkness, isn't it? I've been in the darkness where you feel trapped and you can't come out, and it's cold and it's lonely. But I love the darkness now because I am the light in the darkness. So I am no
Wow.
longer afraid of it.
Hmm, exactly. So the smile is my legacy, and
Mm,
I would like people to begin to see more in a smile than just what meets the face, the eyes.
yeah.
I'd like them to see that there's more to it and how they can apply it to get from feeling stuck to unstuck. And
It's,
thank you for this opportunity.
oh, wonderful. It's a good vibration.
Thank you.
As you said, it doesn't matter if you're covered up. Yeah, I mean, you're on a phone call with someone and they don't know you're smiling, but they can hear it in your voice, right? They can feel it in the vibration of the conversation, and they can feel the smile. And so
Hmm,
we have to understand it doesn't have to always be what you're seeing eyeball to eyeball. It is that smile will resonate in everything that you're doing in that frequency and will resonate with the people who are ready to receive it.
true. And there are some times when people fake a smile, like the
Mm,
mask smile, where we're very fake and artificial.
yeah,
That really puts me off because I know it's not real.
right.
If
Or the
people could see
sinister
through.
smile.
Oh, yes, the one that.
Yes, there are those, but they're pretty obvious. People smiling with clenched teeth.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm smiling, goddammit. No, you're not. um, so this is your legacy and this is your platform. So is it just in your videos and your books? Do you have workshop groups? What do you do in order to share this Smile platform?
So I've been doing mindset training workshops. So largely working with schools, universities, and also working my way towards the corporate end. The challenge that I'm facing with corporates is people are willing to invest in technology and other stuff, but what they forget is if a person, an employee is not having the right mindset, anything else that you give them, they're not going to put it into use in the right way.
Right.
So I just hope somebody listening here has that light bulb moment where they realize mindset is equally important when you're training your staff. So yeah, I do that.
Industry is beginning to see that. I've
Mm,
had some wonderful interviews with people in America, but a lot in Europe, where they're helping industry understand it's people, planet for profit, not profit at the expense of people and planet. And that
mm,
if people are happy where they are, they'll be more productive and there'll be more profit. So that thinking is changing. So just keep nurturing it, because there are still organizations and companies that know they need to change this, but they don't know how. And they just,
mm,
and it's so simple what you've got there. But
mm.
it's very simple and very obvious when you see it, but it's the application of it that isn't always so simple. And, you know, a lot of people can't do it on their own. They just need that shepherd to show
True,
them the way.
true. And I also do one-to-one coaching.
Mm,
So it's if it's something specific that you'd like to work on, or just do a one-to-one conversation, because sometimes people prefer it that way.
yeah,
So I do one-to-one coaching as well. So it's not completely based on the SMILE strategy. It's also, of course, bringing in tools from the NLP toolbox and the ICF accreditations that I have. So as a life coach, I do the one-to-one coachings as well.
right. And I don't think people realize is that, you know, you can't run from yourself. You know,
Mhm.
alcohol, drug addiction, fast life, whatever, you know, if that discontent of who you are and what you're doing will always catch up to you, and that you are going to have to face yourself somewhere along the line. And the willingness to go, you know, without battling it and being open is going to get you through the process a lot quicker, but with a lot more insight.
Mm,
And we are our business. We are who we are. And we need to own that. And there's always room for improvement, always room for growth. But that doesn't mean you're flawed if you're wanting to still grow. But if you know that, you know, maybe you come across differently and people aren't getting you, maybe you're not presenting yourself in a way because you haven't yet got yourself.
exactly. Because most often we think we have a problem, but
Mm,
its problem is never the problem. There's always something
yeah.
underlying that which
Mm,
causes it to feel that way. It's like having a pebble under a carpet. And when you're
mm,
walking across it and you're just cleaning the carpet, but you're constantly feeling that prick when you walk over it.
yeah.
So the job of a coach is to just lift up the carpet and address what you've tucked under the carpet, saying, I'll deal with it later. And
Yes.
now it's beginning to hurt you.
Yes. Yes. And again, only when you're willing to go through it and be
Yeah.
helped are you going to actually understand that there's a stone under your carpet. Right. So, and that
And
you have to do the work. All you're there to do is, as I say, shepherd them, guide them, give them the tools and the wisdom to apply to themselves.
and be kind with yourself.
Mm.
Be gentle. Right?
Mm.
Don't beat yourself up. Just be gentle with yourself.
That goes back to the words we say to ourselves, right? The verbiage
Yes,
and
yes.
the black water. So if you're being negative and putting yourself down, you know, we talk about this a lot in relationships, whether it's a business relationship, friends, or lover relationship. And you know, a lot of people go out looking for love, for someone to complete them or to
Mm,
fix them. You're going to find the wrong love every time you do that, because you're going to find the love that is reflected within you.
true.
So step into your own love, love of self, love of life, love of purpose, and other people will be attracted to that vibration and be able to match it. But don't be looking for someone else to complete you. Only you can do that. They can enhance you and complement you, but not complete you.
True that. I absolutely agree. So whether it's love, whether it's hope, whether it's trust, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's respect, I
Mm-hmm.
say all these four, we complain that people don't give it to us. They don't love us. They don't respect us, trust us, or give us hope. But they won't give it to you because you haven't given it to yourself first.
Right.
They're just going to reflect
Yeah.
that for you.
Yes. And if you know, sometimes you've got people's anger because they're just angry, but sometimes you may have people being negative towards you, and it's like, but what are you reflecting out? you know. And if that anger isn't warranted, then close the door on it and say, I am open and ready to receive once your anger has calmed down, but I'm not willing to accept this. Yeah, I used to say to someone who wanted to pick a fight all the time, take it up with your mirror. That's the only one that's interested.
Ah, I like that.
Right, go and fight with yourself in the mirror and see it for yourself, and then go, that's what you're imposing on everyone else, and you expect them to be open and warm towards you. No, right?
I
So,
like that.
yeah. Smile, and the whole world will smile with you. And that is very true, and it's one person at a time, isn't it?
Yeah. And the first person should be you.
Yes, yes, most certainly. So how do people get hold of you for coaching or companies and your TED Talks and anything else you do and your lovely little smile buttons that you've got on
Oh,
there?
this smile button actually comes from the Ministry of Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So this was given to me when I presented, and I've kept it as a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, I got these amazing, and I wish I had one with me at the moment, but I got these amazing stress busters handmade by a social enterprise in India, which is my give back. So these lovely ladies in India, I can share the link with you. They've created these stress busters, so I give them out during my trainings,
Lovely.
which is my give back. And how do they get in touch with me? I have a Facebook page currently on which I've been doing my daily lives, and today was day 764 of my commitment.
Bravo, bravo.
Every single day. So they could connect with me on RK Writes. It's hard to miss. It's the cover picture of my page is me holding out smileys in my hand.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
So
yes, your LinkedIn is your name. So to spell your name for people so they know exactly how to write it down.
So it's RUQYAKHAN. Ruqya Khan.
Right.
I am on LinkedIn.
And your site is the same. It's your name.com.
Yeah. Yes, it's ruqyakhan.com.
Right. And Facebook is RK Writes.
RK Writes, RITES, which is when I was little, my mom would always complain that my spellings were bad. So, being the little bit of a rebel that I am, I said, I shall own it. So, RITES. I got rid of the W.
And your email, love?
Smilestrategist@gmail.com.
Wonderful. And of course, on Instagram, your RK lowercase Writes, RITES, right?
RITES.
Words are so beautiful. They're just so invitational. They are the paintbrush on the canvas. And how that picture is going to be is what words are chosen, in what tone, in what vibration, and from what intent. And, conversation needs those beautiful words spoken in a beautiful tone with a good intention for it to be received and shared.
True. I agree. My business card reads wordsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Because I work with words, written and spoken.
Yes.
And it's so important what words you're using.
Yes. To yourself, to other people. I mean, as I said, right now, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of anger in the world. And the thing is, yes, we can understand. You're justified with all of that. But what energy are you feeding? And, feed it with the right words. Feed it the growth and the water, the seeding, the nurturing that it needs. And what you want will grow rather than what you don't want. And sometimes it's just sending out a smile and love to other people to lift up their hearts while they're in their own darkness.
True that. And I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my smile. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for sharing your smile. Again, the acronym is wonderful, but it's just the simple word smile. And, we forget that it's so important. And I think this is why we love to see those wonderful little videos and pictures of animals and children doing goofy things, because we can't help but smile. And when you do, your whole body feels better. So just get out there and smile a lot more. And if you need help along the way to let go of things, to find the silence, you know, to all of that, then just reach out to you, right?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much. So everyone out there today, remember, a smile goes a long way. How about you get up the next morning, look at your mirror and give yourself a beautiful smile and say, you know what, I'm there for you today. And make sure you share that smile all through the day. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows. Please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows and you will see the incredible lineup of genres and shows that we have for you. We are here to make a difference in your life. Thank you for listening.